My girlfriend snapped, "It was just once. Get over it." After I caught her cheating with her best friend's husband. So I took my brutal revenge, and now she is begging. All right, Reddit, buckle up because this is going to be a long one. Never thought I'd be posting here, but man, the shit that went down in my life these past couple months, I gotta get it off my chest. Maybe some of you can learn from my fucked up situation. So me and my girl, now ex, had been together for almost 4 years. I'm 28 male, she's 27 female. We met at this house party back in college through mutual friends. She was hot AF and actually seemed interested in my boring ass, so yeah, we hit it off right away. Things moved pretty quick after graduation. We got jobs in the same city, dated for about 2 years, then moved in together. The relationship was solid. At least I thought so. We split rent 50-50, took turns cooking, though she'd always complain about my cooking lol. Talked about marriage and kids and all that future stuff most couples do. I work in sales, decent money, but lots of hours sometimes. She's in marketing at some corporate place downtown. Our schedules lined up most days, but sometimes I'd have late client meetings, or she'd have these team happy hours that would run late. Nothing suspicious at the time. She has these two best friends from college she's always talking about and hanging out with. I'll call them Kelly and Jess. Kelly's the married one. Been with this dude Brandon for like 3 years, I think. Jess is the perpetually single friend who's always got some dating disaster story. I'd heard so much about these two over the years, I felt like I knew them, but weirdly had never actually met them in person. My girl always kept her college friend circle separate from our relationship, which I never questioned because I'm not the jealous, controlling type. About 3 months ago, my girl suggests we all go out to lunch. Us, Kelly, and Brandon, and Jess. I want my favorite people to know each other, she said, with that smile that usually meant I was about to agree to something I didn't really want to do. But whatever. I figured it was important to her. So I said sure. We meet up at this fancy brunch place downtown on a Saturday. First impressions. Kelly seemed nice enough but super quiet, barely said anything the whole time. Brandon was, well, a total douche if I'm being honest. One of those guys who thinks he's God's gift to everyone. Kept interrupting people, especially his wife, making everything about himself and checking out our waitress right in front of all of us. Total lack of respect. Jess was actually pretty cool. Smart, sarcastic sense of humor. Called Brandon out a couple times, which was hilarious. But what really caught my attention was how Brandon and my girl interacted. Nothing overtly flirty, but there was this weird vibe. He'd make these inside jokes that only she seemed to get. They'd do this thing where they'd finish each other's sentences. At one point, he put his hand on her shoulder when he got up to use the bathroom and let it linger a bit too long. Small stuff that most people wouldn't notice, but it just felt off. After we left, I casually asked my girl how she knew Brandon so well. Oh, he's just been around forever through Kelly. Plus, we've all hung out tons of times over the years, she said. Made sense, I guess, but something still felt weird. Over the next few weeks, I noticed my girl started talking about Kelly and Brandon a lot more. How they had such a perfect marriage, and how Brandon was so successful and so funny. I just nodded along, but I kept thinking about how Brandon acted at lunch. The way he treated Kelly like she was invisible half the time. No way that marriage was perfect. What's crazy is how quickly shit changed after that lunch. Suddenly my girl was working late more often. The girls' nights with Kelly and Jess started happening twice a week instead of once a month. And sometimes Brandon would be there too, which made no sense for a girls' night. But apparently Kelly doesn't like driving at night, or Brandon was already downtown for work, so he just joined. Whatever. She also got weird about her phone. We never hid our phones from each other. Not because we snooped, but just because we had nothing to hide. Suddenly, she's taking her phone to the bathroom, turning it face down when I walk by. Changed her password. All the classic red flags, right? But I didn't want to be that insecure boyfriend accusing her of shit without proof. Been there before in past relationships, and it never ends well. So I just pushed down my suspicions and tried to act normal. Then one night around midnight, my phone buzzes. It's a text from Jess, who I'd only talked to one-on-one like twice ever. All it said was, "I think you should know something about," and then nothing. The text disappeared before I could even open it fully. She must have deleted it right away. I messaged her back like, "Hey, what's up? Did you mean to text me?" But she never responded. Weird AF. The next morning at breakfast, I casually mentioned to my girl that Jess had texted me. Should have seen her face. She literally froze mid-bite for a split second, then laughed it off saying Jess probably texted me by accident. She was way too interested in exactly what Jess had said. I played dumb, but inside I was like, oh fuck, something's definitely up. Over the next couple weeks, more weird shit kept happening. My girl would leave the room to take calls. She'd say she was meeting Kelly for coffee, but when I'd casually ask how Kelly was doing later, she'd get details wrong or seem confused for a moment before answering. Then Jess reached out again. This time she actually called me while I was at work. She seemed super nervous and just said, "Hey, this is awkward, but maybe pay more attention to what's happening around you." I can't say more than that. I'm sorry. I was hell confused. When I pressed her to explain, she just said she'd already risked enough. Just keep your eyes open. You seem like a good guy. You deserve better. I hung up feeling like I was stuck in some low-budget drama. I also know how girls can go after each other when things get messy between them. Maybe Jess was just stirring the pot, but something about the whole vibe melted off. So after that weird call from Jess, I started paying way more attention to everything. Not in a crazy stalker way, but just stopped ignoring the obvious shit that was right in front of my face. Looking back, I can't believe how blind I was being. The signs were so fucking obvious. First off, my girl's schedule suddenly got super unpredictable. She'd been at the same job for like 3 years with pretty standard hours, but now she was constantly texting that she'd be working late or had emergency client meetings that just happened to pop up last minute. Sometimes she'd come home smelling different, not just like alcohol from happy hour, but like she'd showered with different soap or something. Other times her makeup would be touched up but slightly different than how she'd done it that morning. Her phone became her most prized possession. This girl who used to leave her phone just laying around anywhere was suddenly taking it with her to the bathroom, keeping it face down, and I even caught her deleting text conversations a couple times when I walked up behind her. The biggest red flag was how she started picking fights over nothing. She'd blow up about me leaving dishes in the sink or not texting her enough during the day. Stupid shit that never bothered her before. She was trying to make me the bad guy to justify what she was doing. Classic cheater move, right? Make your partner out to be such an asshole that you deserve to cheat or some bullshit. Then I started keeping track of all this stuff. Not like writing it down in a journal like some psycho, but just mentally noting the patterns. And there was definitely a pattern. Most of her late nights were Thursdays, and she was always extra distant the day after. I also started paying more attention to what she said about Brandon and Kelly. She'd drop Brandon into conversations for no reason. Brandon says this restaurant has the best steak in the city. Or, Brandon was telling me about this new workout routine. Why the fuck was she having all these private conversations with her friend's husband? And meanwhile, she talked about Kelly less and less. About 2 weeks after Jess called me, I ran into her at the grocery store. Totally random. I was grabbing soda, and she was in the same aisle. She looked like she'd seen a ghost when she spotted me. We did that awkward, "Hey, how's it going?" small talk, but then she pulled me aside by the freezer section. "Have you noticed anything?" she asked, looking around like we were in some spy movie. I just nodded. Didn't want to say too much in case she was just fishing for info. "Kelly has no idea," she said quietly. I tried to hint to her that something was off with Brandon, but she shut me down completely. Called me jealous because I'm single. We barely talk now. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked her. "Why not just tell me straight up what's going on?" Jess looked genuinely torn. "They're both my friends, and so is Kelly. I'm stuck in the middle of this shit show. But you seem like a decent guy, and what they're doing is fucked up." She wouldn't give me specifics, just said she'd seen enough to know it's not innocent, and that it had been going on at least since before that lunch, maybe longer. Then some old lady wanted to get into the freezer we were standing in front of, so we moved and the moment was gone. Jess just said, "Keep your eyes open again," and took off. That night when my girl got home, late of course, I almost confronted her, almost laid out all the evidence and suspicions. But some part of me knew I needed actual proof, not just for her to deny it, but for myself, and honestly, for what I was planning to do afterward. So I played it cool for another week, pretended nothing was wrong, even suggested we have Brandon and Kelly over for dinner sometime, just to see her reaction. She got super flustered and made up some excuse about them being really busy with family stuff right now. Yeah, sure. I decided to set a trap. Told her I had a big client meeting the following Thursday that would probably run late. "Don't wait up for me. Might be midnight before I'm home," I said. She tried to look disappointed, but I could practically see the wheels turning in her head, planning her Thursday night without me. That whole week was torture. Sleeping next to someone you're pretty sure is cheating on you, acting like everything's normal, making her coffee in the morning, kissing her goodbye, texting during the day about normal shit like what's for dinner, or did I remember to pay the electric bill? All while knowing Thursday was coming. Thursday morning, I left for work like usual. Told her again about my late meeting, and she played the perfect supportive girlfriend. "Don't work too hard, babe. I'll probably just have a quiet night in." "Yeah, right. I went to work but told my boss I needed to leave early for a personal emergency. He's a good dude, didn't ask questions. So by 3 p.m., I was in my car heading home, stopping to pick up her favorite sushi on the way. Not because I thought we'd be having a nice dinner, but because I wanted the full fucking dramatic irony of the situation. As I parked outside our apartment, I saw a car I recognized. The same BMW Brandon had been driving at our lunch. It was parked 2 spots down from my usual space. I sat in my car staring at Brandon's BMW, holding a bag of expensive sushi that was getting warmer by the minute. For like 2 solid minutes, I just sat there, not even sure what to do. Part of me wanted to just drive away, pretend I never came home early, go crash at a buddy's place and deal with this shit later. Would have been easier, right? But nah. I'd spent weeks seeing the signs, ignoring my gut, making excuses for her behavior. I needed to see it with my own eyes, needed that closure or whatever. So I grabbed my phone, made sure it had enough storage, since videos take up a lot of space, and walked up to our apartment. I used my key to get in as quietly as possible. As soon as I opened the door, I heard those sounds coming from our bedroom. You know exactly what I'm talking about. For a second, I felt like I was gonna puke right there in the entryway. I dropped the sushi bag on the counter and took a deep breath. Then I pulled out my phone, opened the camera app, and hit record. Call it instinct or whatever, but some part of my brain was already thinking ahead. I needed evidence. Not just for me to know I wasn't crazy, but for what would come later. Walking down that hallway to our bedroom door felt like it took forever. Each step I was thinking, maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's just the TV, maybe it's not what I think. But deep down, I knew. I fucking knew. I pushed the bedroom door open, still recording, and boom. There they were in our bed. The bed I'd helped her pick out at IKEA. The bed I'd spent 4 hours assembling while she sat there reading me the instructions. They didn't even notice me at first. They were so caught up in their little world, they didn't hear the door open. For a few seconds, I just stood there recording. Wanted to make sure I got their faces clearly on video. Wanted to capture the whole scene so there could be no denying it later. Finally, I cleared my throat, almost threw up, and holy shit, you should have seen them jump. The looks on their faces, first shock, then Brandon's panic, and my girlfriend's annoyance? Not guilt, not shame, not even embarrassment. She looked fucking annoyed, like I'd interrupted her favorite TV show or something. What happened next is kind of a blur. Brandon scrambled off her, grabbing for his clothes, mumbling some bullshit. My girl pulled the sheet up to cover herself, but didn't say anything at first. Just glared at me like I was the one who'd done something wrong by coming home to my own apartment. I kept recording the whole time, which seemed to piss her off even more. She started yelling at me to stop filming, to delete the video, that I had no right. I ignored her and asked how long it had been going on. She literally looked me dead in the eyes and hit me with the, "It was just once, get over it." Said I was always working late, so what did I expect? Like it was somehow my fault she decided to fuck her best friend's husband in our bed. I told Brandon to get out, and to his credit, dude moved fast. Grabbed his shit and was out of there in like 30 seconds flat, still buttoning his shirt as he pushed past me. I stepped aside to let him go. I wasn't about to get into a physical fight over this shit. He wasn't worth an assault charge. Once Brandon was gone, my girl switched tactics. Suddenly it was look, it was a mistake, and it didn't mean anything, and all that classic cheater bullshit. When I just stood there, still recording, not saying much, she got defensive again. Started bringing up minor shit from months ago, like how I forgot her mom's birthday, or how I sometimes leave dirty dishes in the sink. As if forgetting to wash a coffee mug is the same as letting another dude rail you in our bed. I finally stopped recording and just looked at her for a minute, waiting for her to realize how ridiculous she sounds. Asked her if Kelly knew. She didn't answer, which was answer enough. And then she said something I'll never forget. With this smug little smirk on her face, she hit me with, "Well, maybe you should know. He's better in bed anyway." That was it. Game over. In that moment, any tiny bit of love I still had for her died instantly. She didn't just cheat, she wanted to hurt me. Wanted to twist the knife. That's when I knew she was actually a terrible fucking person. And I'd been blind to it for years. I didn't yell. Didn't give her the reaction she was looking for. Just nodded, turned around, and walked out. Grabbed my laptop, wallet, and car keys on my way to the door. She followed me, suddenly changing her tune, asking where I was going, telling me not to be so dramatic. I didn't answer. Just closed the door behind me and walked to my car. But I didn't leave right away. I sat in my car, hands shaking a bit, and thought about what to do with that video. The old me would have just deleted it, tried to be the bigger person or whatever. Fuck that. The old me died when I opened that bedroom door. So I did the first nuclear thing. I pulled up the group chat my girl had with all her girlfriends, including Kelly and Jess. This was a chat she'd shown me before, like 10 women who all went to college together. Found it in her social media, which she was still logged into on my phone. Genius move, right? And I sent the video. To all of them. With a simple message. Thought you all should know what kind of friend you have. Kelly, I'm especially sorry you had to find out this way. I knew they'd eat up the drama and talk about it for the next 7 months. Then I blocked my girl's number, turned off notifications, and drove to my buddy Dave's place. Didn't call ahead, just showed up at his door looking like death probably. Dave's a real one. Took one look at me, pulled me inside and said, "Spill it." So I did. Told him everything. He didn't interrupt, just let me get it all out, then offered me his couch for as long as I needed it. I spent that night staring at the ceiling, thinking about everything I gave over the last 4 years. All the trust, the support, the time I poured into the relationship, and every time I questioned something that felt off, she'd twist it, make me feel paranoid or insecure. Like I was the problem for not trusting her enough. All those girls' nights that, looking back, probably weren't what she said they were. It's wild how the full picture only comes together when it's already too late. The next morning, I woke up with this weird sense of clarity. Like I knew exactly what I needed to do. Step by step, no emotion, no hesitation. Dave had already left for work, left a note saying, "Fridge is stocked, Wi-Fi password on the counter, stay as long as you need, bro." I pulled out my phone for the first time since the night before. Had to turn it back on first since I'd powered it down. As soon as it booted up, the notifications started flooding in, but didn't read or listen to any of them. I had shit to do. I call into work and ask for a personal day. My boss is pretty chill. When I said I was dealing with some heavy personal shit, he didn't even hesitate. "Take care of yourself, man. The office will still be here tomorrow." Then I called our landlord. This is where my ex fucked up big time from the start. The apartment was in my name only. When we moved in together 2 years ago, her credit was absolute garbage from some student loan shit she never handled properly. So I'm the only one on the lease, I'm the only one responsible for rent, and I'm the only one with any actual rights to the place. I explained the situation to the landlord, not all the messy details, just that my girlfriend and I had broken up and I'd be moving out. He was actually pretty cool about it. "These things happen, son," he said, sounding like he'd been through a few divorces himself. "Let me know what you want to do with the lease." Here's where it gets good. I didn't just call to chat, I gave notice to terminate the lease early. Our agreement had a clause about breaking the lease for a fee equal to 1 month's rent. I paid it right then over the phone with my credit card. The landlord said he'd send over the paperwork and that we'd have 30 days to vacate. But I made sure he understood that while my name was on the lease, my ex would be the one trying to stay. He said he'd leave a formal notice on the door that day so there'd be no confusion about the timeline. She'd have 30 days to either sign a new lease in her own name or get the fuck out. After that, I called all the utility companies. Electric, water, internet, everything. All in my name, all being paid from my bank account automatically each month. And I didn't just pause service or transfer it to her name. Nope. I closed every single account completely. Service would stop that day for all of them. By noon, I went to the bank. We didn't have joint accounts, thank God, but she was an authorized user on my credit card. You know, for emergencies or whatever. Called the card company right there in the bank parking lot and had her removed. The customer service guy asked if I wanted to report the card stolen, so they'd issue me a new number. "Not necessary," I told him. "I just need her cut off immediately." While I was feeling productive, I went through my phone and took screenshots of everything. All the texts from Jess trying to warn me, all the obvious lies from my ex over the past few months, and of course, screenshots from the video I took. I emailed them all to myself as backup and put them in a special folder on my phone. Evidence secured. I spent the rest of the afternoon at a coffee shop, still ignoring the flood of calls and texts from my ex. She'd gone from angry, "How dare you film us?" to panicked, "Please call me back, we need to talk," to begging, "I'm so sorry, it was a mistake, please come home." I didn't respond to any of it. Around 4 p.m., I got a text from Kelly, of all people. "Can we meet? I need to talk to you." I agreed and suggested a bar near Dave's place. She was already there when I arrived, looking like absolute hell, eyes red and puffy, hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, wearing sweats and a hoodie, like she'd just grabbed whatever was closest. We got a table in the back corner. For a minute, she just stared at her drink, not saying anything. Finally, she looked up and said, "Thank you for sending that video. I know it must have been hard." Turns out she'd suspected something was going on with Brandon for months but had no proof. She'd noticed the late nights, The protective phone behavior. All the same signs I'd seen with my ex. But every time she brought it up, Brandon would make her feel crazy and paranoid. Classic gaslighting shit. Jess tried to tell me too, Kelly admitted. She saw them together at a restaurant across town about a month ago. I accused her of making it up because she's jealous of my marriage. God, I was so stupid. I showed Kelly the texts from Jess trying to warn me. Kelly looked like she might start crying again. She really tried to tell both of us, and we both shut her down. Before I left, Kelly and I made a plan. She was done being the doormat wife, and I was done being the clueless boyfriend. We exchanged numbers and promised to keep each other updated on what was happening on both fronts. That evening, around 6 p.m., I drove back to the apartment, knowing my ex would be at her Thursday yoga class. It was the one consistent thing in her schedule. I gave myself 30 minutes to pack my essential stuff and get out. It felt weird being back there so soon after catching them. The bed was made. Of course she'd cleaned up. But I couldn't even look at the bedroom. Just grabbed a suitcase and threw in clothes, toiletries, important documents, my gaming console, and a few sentimental items I didn't want her to destroy when she inevitably lost her shit. Was out in 25 minutes flat. I left my key on the counter with a note. Lease ends in 30 days. Utilities disconnected. Get over it and do not contact me. I was just pulling away when I saw her car turning into the lot. For a second, our eyes met through the windshields. The look on her face, confusion quickly turning to panic, almost made me stop, but I just drove off. Next morning, I woke up to 43 emails from her, going from anger to panic to straight up begging. Apparently, she'd tried to shower but found the water shut off. Tried to watch Netflix, but the internet was gone. Tried to order food, but her card was declined since it was actually my credit card she'd been using this whole time. While all this was going down, Kelly was executing her own plan. She contacted HR at the company where Brandon and my ex both worked. Yeah, they worked together too. Shocked, and she never told me about that. Turns out the company has a strict policy about workplace relationships, especially between supervisors and subordinates, which was exactly what Brandon and my ex were. Kelly showed HR the video, with intimate parts blurred, and provided evidence of them using company time and resources for their affair. They'd been booking conference rooms for their little sessions, and using company events as cover to meet up. Both Brandon and my ex were put on administrative leave pending investigation. Kelly also filed for divorce, naming my ex specifically in the filing. Dave's been awesome through all this. When I told him my plan to nuke my ex's entire life, he just nodded and said, "Remind me never to piss you off, bro." He even helped me start apartment hunting online, sending me listings during his lunch break at work. About a week after everything, things were getting back to normal until my ex blew up my phone again with angry texts. Apparently, she found the notice, she completely lost her shit. Stormed down to the leasing office in tears, only to discover that not only was the lease definitely ending in 30 days, but her credit score and income weren't enough to qualify for the apartment on her own. They need someone making like 3 times the monthly rent, and she's not even close. Apparently, Kelly ran into my ex at the leasing office. Yeah, I heard about it the same day. Turns out the drama traveled fast. Kelly wasn't there to play nice. Walked straight up to her and asked, "How long have you been screwing my husband?" And my ex tried that classic cheater move, acting confused like she didn't know what Kelly was talking about, telling her, "It's just a misunderstanding." Like she didn't know about that video being forwarded around the globe. Like women don't have a sixth sense for lying and betrayal. Please. You'd think after all those secret hookups, she'd at least prep a better defense. But nah. She stammered, mumbled something about how it just happened, and Kelly shut that down real quick. Oh, so my fault, right? For trusting you? For trusting him? Classic. You're not sorry you did it, you're just sorry you got caught. That's the thing with my ex. When she's red-handed, they flip the script, try to gaslight, cry, blame everyone but herself. Anyway, Kelly ended it like a boss. Tossed the lease termination notice at her and said, "Good luck figuring it out," and walked out. I found out about it later when Kelly shot me a text, saying it was the most satisfying 5 minutes of her life. I bet it was. Meanwhile, my ex was probably still standing there, stunned, wondering why the universe wasn't bending over to fix her mess. The utility situation is even better. She thought I'd just temporarily disconnected everything out of spite or whatever. Nope. I closed all the accounts completely. To get services back, she'd need to open brand new accounts in her name, pay all the deposits and setup fees, and wait for installation appointments. Based on her desperate texts, she doesn't have the cash for all those deposits right now. I know all this shit, because 3 days into my radio silence, my ex showed up at my fucking office, Just walked right in and asked for me at reception. My receptionist immediately texted me a heads up before sending anyone back. I told her to say I was in a meeting and couldn't be disturbed. X wasn't having it, said it was an emergency and she'd wait. After 20 minutes of her sitting in our lobby, getting more and more agitated, our office manager had to ask her to leave. She refused, started raising her voice, saying she just needed 5 minutes with me. That's when security got called. As they were escorting her out, she completely lost it. Started screaming about how I'd ruined her life over one mistake, and that I was a vindictive asshole for telling Kelly about the affair. One of my coworkers recorded the whole meltdown on his phone and showed me later. It was both satisfying and embarrassing as hell to watch. Of course, the video circled around for days. Yesterday, all hell broke loose. My ex called me 19 times in 2 hours. When I finally answered, mostly to make the phone stop buzzing, she was completely hysterical. Brandon's being transferred to the Austin office. They were going to promote me to his position, but now HR is investigating both of us. I could lose my job. Are you happy now? Is this what you wanted? I didn't want any of this, I replied. You made your choices. She broke down then, crying about how sorry she was, how she'd do anything to take it back. I can't afford the apartment on my own, she sobbed. My parents won't help me. I have nowhere to go. That sounds like a huge problem, I said, and hung up. This morning I got an email with the subject line, "What I'm going to do." It was just a list of demands. 1. I need to move back in and pay the rent while she finds a new place. 2. I need to turn utilities back on. 3. I need to give her access to her credit card again. 4. I need to tell Kelly it was all a misunderstanding. 5. I need to talk to her boss and explain she made a mistake. The audacity of her. After everything she did, she still thought I owed her? That I should help clean up the mess she created? Not a chance. I didn't respond, and I haven't for 2 months now. Honestly, I don't plan to. A lot has changed since then, and for the most part, it's been for the better. I landed that promotion at work I'd been grinding for. The new apartment is starting to feel like home too. Set up a little home office in the corner of the living room, and for once I'm cooking real meals instead of just surviving on takeout. It feels good. Simple, but good. Ever since my ex sent that pathetic list of demands, it's been radio silence. 3 weeks of nothing. It's been peaceful, and I started to focus on my life and move on. Then one day, an email popped up. Subject line? Closure. Cute. Almost deleted it without reading, but figured I'd skim it for entertainment. It was an apology, or her attempt at one. Some weak confession about realizing the damage she'd done. Good for her, I guess. But it didn't matter. Not to me. I didn't reply. She doesn't even deserve closure. Let her sit with that. I've heard bits and pieces from mutual friends. Apparently, she's still crashing at her sister's place, scrambling for some job in another city. The married guy tried crawling back to Kelly, but she slammed that door shut and went through with the divorce. Me? I've been dating. Keeping it casual, nothing serious. A few first dates, most were forgettable. But last weekend, I met up with Jess. Yeah, that Jess. The one who tried to warn me. Wasn't even supposed to be a date, just drinks to catch up. We ended up talking for hours. She apologized again for not being more direct back then. I told her it was whatever. She was in a tough spot, stuck between people, didn't know how to handle it. One drink turned into dinner, which turned into walking around downtown until midnight, just talking about life and how much better it is when you cut toxic people out. And yeah, there's definitely something there. She's sharp, funny, real. No games, no drama, just straight up honesty. It's easy. It's solid. We're taking it slow, but it feels right. But because Karma has a sick sense of humor, it didn't end there. Turns out my ex found out that Jess and I had been seeing each other. How? Who knows? Maybe one of her spy minions. Maybe she just connected the dots. Either way, she lost her damn mind. Started blowing up Jess's phone, sending her these pathetic, bitter texts like, "You're a backstabbing bitch," and "He'll leave you too once he's bored." Real original, right? She even took it a step further, showing up at Jess's gym, trying to corner her in the parking lot like some low-budget villain. Jess shut it down fast, told her if she didn't back off, I helped her in getting a restraining order gift wrapped with her name on it. That must have stung, because my ex has been quiet ever since. Funny how the tough act crumbles when someone isn't scared of her drama. Guess Jess was the one friend she shouldn't have underestimated. To everyone who stuck around for this chaos, appreciate it. Your comments were a reminder that walking away wasn't just the right call. It was the only call. Life moves on, and mine's looking better every damn day. And for those asking, yeah, things with Jess are getting serious. And it feels good. No second guessing. No looking back. And to anyone thinking I was too harsh? Nah. Sometimes you have to go nuclear. Her face when she realized I wasn't coming to save her? Priceless. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.